Hello and welcome live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Gautam Roy, and coming up in the next hour, India and Bangladesh brace for Cyclone Remal. The severe storm is expected to bring extremely heavy rainfall and strong winds. Disaster relief teams have been deployed to meet any eventuality. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi chairs a meeting to review response and preparedness. Cyclone Remal expected to make landfall around midnight Indian Standard Time. China and South Korea agreed to launch a diplomatic and security dialogue and resume free trade talks. Leaders of Japan, South Korea and China to hold a trilateral summit on Monday in Seoul. Leaders arrive in Brussels for international partners meeting on Palestine. Spain reiterates its support for two-state solution. India's ace gymnast Dipa Karmakar bags a historic gold medal at Asian Women's Artistic Gymnastics Championship in Tashkent, becomes the first Indian to achieve this feat. And Kolkata Knight Riders are taking on Sunrisers Hyderabad in the Indian Premier League's final. The Knights have the Sunrisers on the ropes after banging early wickets in the power play. India is bracing for Cyclone Remal, the first of the year, as the severe storm with wind speeds of up to 120 km per hour is set to make landfall overnight. That's what India's weather department has been saying. The storm will also hit Bangladesh, where the weather office raised its storm danger signal to 10, the highest level for 2 ports and 9 coastal districts, announcing warnings over loudspeakers and starting to evacuate people from coastal areas. India has deployed its disaster relief force in the eastern state of West Bengal. Flights have been suspended at the major metropolitan city of Kolkata. Parts of West Bengal have started experiencing bouts of moderate rainfall, and the government has cancelled leave for employees in essential services, a civic body official has said. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has chaired a meeting to review the response and preparedness as far as Cyclone Remal is concerned. But the cyclone is to make landfall later tonight at midnight between Bangladesh and adjoining West Bengal coasts, according to the Indian Meteorological Department. Cyclone Remal, which is expected to intensify into a severe cyclonic storm, is forecast to make landfall between Sagar Island, West Bengal and Khepupara in Bangladesh. The Indian Navy has also initiated preparatory actions following existing standard operating procedures to mount a credible humanitarian assistance and disaster relief response in the aftermath of Cyclone Remal. The situation is being closely monitored at Naval Headquarters, with comprehensive preparatory actions being undertaken by the Headquarters Eastern Naval Command. Also in preparation, the Indian Navy has readied 2 ships equipped with HADR and medical supplies for immediate deployment to ensure the safety and welfare of the affected populace. Additionally, the Indian Naval's aviation assets, including Sea King and Chetak helicopters as well as Dornier aircraft, are on standby for rapid response. And in neighbouring Bangladesh, over 8 lakh, that is 800,000 people, have been evacuated to safer places as a severe cyclone Remal may hit Bangladesh coastline between 6 p.m. and midnight on Sunday, local time. Bangladesh State Minister for Disaster Management and Relief Mohibur Rahman said the authorities on Sunday launched an intensified evacuation campaign to take all vulnerable people to safety. The Bangladesh Met Office asked Pyara and Mongla ports to hoist Great Danger Signal number 10 while it issued 9 for Cox's Bazar and Chittagram ports on Sunday morning. The authorities said that no classes will be held at schools in coastal areas due to Cyclone Remal. Now, cyclones are given many names in different regions. The current cyclone is called Remal, which means sand in Arabic. Cyclones are classified as extratropical cyclones and tropical cyclones. The World Meteorological Organization uses the term tropical cyclone to cover weather systems in which winds exceed gale force, that's the minimum of 34 knots or 63 kilometers per hour. Take a look at this report.
Cyclones are given many names in different regions of the world. Cyclone Remal falls in the list of tropical cyclones. Cyclones that develop in the regions between the tropics of Capricorn and Cancer are called tropical cyclones. Remal means sand in Arabic and its name has been given by Oman. It is the first cyclone to hit the region since 2024 pre-monsoon season. Now let's take a look at the worldwide terminology used for cyclones. Cyclones are known as typhoons in the China Sea and Pacific Ocean, hurricanes in the West Indian Islands, in the Caribbean Sea and Atlantic Ocean, tornadoes in the Guinea lands of West Africa and southern USA, and willy-willies in northwestern Australia, and tropical cyclones in the Indian Ocean. Do you know how these cyclones' names are suggested? The proposed name should be neutral to A. Politics and political figures, B. Religious beliefs, C. Cultures, and D. Gender. Names should be chosen in such a way that it doesn't hurt the sentiments of any group of population over the globe. It should not be very rude and cruel in nature. It should be short, easy to pronounce, and should not be offensive to any member. The maximum length of the name will be 8 letters. The proposed name should be provided with its pronunciation and voice over. The Bay of Bengal experiences more cyclones than the Arabian Sea by a ratio of about 4:1. However, a 2022 study found that the frequency of cyclones in the Arabian Sea has increased by 52% from 2001 to 2019, while the Bay of Bengal's frequency has slightly decreased. Bureau Report, DD, India.
Let me now take you across to two of my colleagues joining me from Bangladesh. Dhaka is Naval Singh Parmar, and from Delhi we've got Tapas Bhattacharya on the phone line as well. If I could first come to you, Naval, what can you tell us about where the cyclone is at the moment, this severe cyclone, and has there been any change in when it makes landfall, and what is the impact even now? To what extent is it being felt?
Yes, today morning, Bangladesh Met Department classified this cyclone as severe cyclonic storm, and based on that, the Met Department asked the concerned authority to hoist Great Danger Signal 10 on Paira and Mongla port, which are on the southern Bangladesh coast, and Great Danger Signal 9 for the Chittagram and Cox's Bazar, which is on the southeast Bangladesh coast. So the cyclone is from central west to central east Bay of Bengal. Its journey started toward the north, and it is now time has come. It will struck to the coast around the Sundarban area, either side of the border, because Sundarban is in India as well as Bangladesh, and the cyclone is going to stuck around on the same area of the Sundarban. So that is the prediction of Bangladesh Met Department, and its speed is around 110 to 120 kilometers per hour, and it may increase up to 135 kilometers. Since the morning, there is a windy surge in the coastal area of Bangladesh, and you know that in Sundarban area, the mean sea level at the land of the level is very low. So due to that, the heavy surge of the sea, there is inundation in the 8 to 9 districts of the coastal Bangladesh of the Burishal and the Khulna division, mainly the Satkhira, Khulna, Bagerhat, and Bangladesh. So here also, so there is due to heavy inundation, around 8 lakh people have been migrated to the safer place, and in each district the earmarked safer place, Pakka house are there, and the around 270 teams of fire service and civil defense, which is a counterpart of NDRF here we have in India. So around 270 teams of civil defense and fire service have been deployed. At the same time, around 290 teams of doctors and medical staff have been kept standby to mitigate the eventuality due to the cyclone. And the impact of the cyclone in Bangladesh coast is being felt in the morning. But now in Dhaka also, now I'm experiencing gusty winds here in Dhaka too. So now time came for the landfall in the Bangladesh as well as Indian coast of Sundarban area.
Okay, just stay with us, Naval. Let me bring in Tapas as well. Tapas, in terms of the kind of preparations that have been put in place in India, the cyclone is supposed to be impacting a fairly wide region, not just West Bengal coast, but it is likely to travel further up north over the next 2 days to as far as Sikkim and beyond.
Yes, absolutely, and that is where the major threat lies. In fact, it will impact Tripura, it will have northeast, and then you have the whole of almost the whole of West Bengal, the whole coastal line of West Bengal.
Sagni, we have, I'm sorry,
yes.
Tapas, we seem to be having a problem with your line.
Right.
We will try and reconnect because right now it's quite distorted. If I could again come to you, Naval, in terms of the kind of resources that have been deployed, what can you tell us about the kind of measures that have been taken to ensure that people are safe in the first place and even their property, their livestock, everything is saved and the loss of lives is minimized?
Yes, Bangladesh Coast Guard as well as the Bangladesh Navy and the civil defense kind of organization here in Bangladesh, Red Crescent, are working since the morning, and they are making announcement on loudspeaker. And first of all, they tried to evacuate the people because in coastal Bangladesh, if 1 meters of tide or surge can create inundation in very large area of Bangladesh, because they are just 1 meter or half meter above the sea level. So 1 meter or 2 meters tide can create many kind of problems in low-lying areas of Bangladesh, and these are the 10 districts of Borishal as well as Khulna division, which are going to affected more. So people already started following the guidelines or following the instruction of the administration, started moving to the safer place. And the second thing, they tried to move the metal also, because 10 districts and it is a very large area. If the inundation happens, then it is difficult to reach out for the administration once they are stuck in the water. So they took the precautionary measures, and people also have felt this kind of cyclone in recent past. So they are aware and they are sensitized about the impact of cyclone. So before wind start, there were a rain and there were a windy surge of sea water. So with the seeing this fact, they are trying to move to the safer place. And the government and administration is trying their best. Even Bangladesh Prime Minister is keeping eye on the situation developing due to the Cyclone Remal. And BMD, Bangladesh Met Department, forecasted heavy rain over entire Bangladesh, because it is a small country, and over the entire country there will be heavy rain. And as Tapas said, that the effect of cyclone will be felt up to the Sikkim. So there will be the heavy rain in Meghalaya and Assam area. It will create flood-like situation in upper Bangladesh also. This is not a coastal area, but if there is a rain in Shillong, Meghalaya and Sikkim area and the Assam of the Indian side, then it will create flood-like situation here in Bangladesh. So they need to be prepared for both kind of situations: cyclonic storm, cyclonic wave, cyclonic water inundation, as well as the flood in the rivers of northern Bangladesh.
Got it.
So government and administration is taking appropriate measure, and they have experience of, because it is a coastal, heavy, long coastline Bangladesh is having, and they experience many cyclone in recent past.
Yes, let's hope all the measures that have been put in place prove effective, and the loss to property and lives, of course, is completely minimized. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment. Now, let me quickly bring in Tapas Bhattacharya as well, my colleague from Delhi. Tapas, tell us about what kind of preparations have been made in the case of India as well, because a large amount of impact is also going to be felt in the eastern part of the country going up to the northeast.
Yes, absolutely. As I mentioned, deployments by the NDRF teams is already there, and 12 teams have been deployed in critical areas, which they believe that's very important. As Neville also was mentioning the fact that the area in near Borishal and near Sagar coast. That's the place where it's quite low-lying area also, and it's expected to, the major impact is expected to be that side also. So those are the areas where it's working. Now, there are two main important points I'd like to mention here. The first is that currently the outer cloud band of the cyclone is over the coastal area of Bangladesh and over the West Bengal, and the landfall process, as per the IMD just now, they have said that it's going to start around approximately in the next couple of hours. So we believe that it's expected to not just 11:30 we might have the landfall process that will start. Now that's one part of it. The second is that places like Digha, Haldia has already seen a lot of rainfall activity. In fact, more than 40 millimeter of rainfall has already taken place in Digha. In Haldia, it is over 30 mm. The other part is that the wind speed in right now is over 100 and 110 kilometer per hour, and as per Met Department is expected to touch the 130 in a very short period of time. So that's something that is something that's quite worrisome for people. You mentioned, Gautam, that Indian Navy is also pressed into service. And we believe that that's going to be a major point, because the whole coast area that we're talking about, the whole ocean, the sea area of Bay of Bengal is a huge one, and Bangladesh doesn't have that manpower to manage that. So Indian Navy is currently pressed because of that, and it's been the whole track is currently being monitored by the Kolkata Doppler radar, which is currently focusing and tracking the whole line.
All right, so it's a comprehensive picture, a comprehensive approach has been taken to ensure that the severe storm that is heading towards the coast of Bangladesh and of course of West Bengal and India as well does not inflict the kind of damage that it potentially can, because there are high-speed winds and a lot of rainfall is going to be dumped, not just where the coastal area is concerned, but as the cyclone moves up further inland, it will dump more rain as well, and there are possibilities of floods as well, but preparations have been put in place to deal with it, and let's hope they prove to be effective. Thanks a lot for joining us, Tapas, as well. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Burkina Faso's ruling junta extends its rule for 5 years till 2029. Lithuanians vote in a presidential election with incumbent Gitanas Nausėda expected to win.
Tracking the final phases of general election, Team Poll Pulse has reached the city of joy, Kolkata. West Bengal has 42 seats in the parliament and is voting across 7 phases.
আমাদের এডুকেশন মানে সরকারি যে এডুকেশন বা সরকারি স্বাস্থ্য ব্যবস্থা এগুলোকে আরো ডেভেলপ করা দরকার আগামী দিনে।
আমাদের যখন একটা অধিকার আছে তাহলে গণতান্ত্রিক স্বাধীনতা, গণতান্ত্রিক অধিকারটা আমরা নিশ্চয়ই প্রয়োগ করব। সেটার জন্যই ভোটটা দেওয়া উচিত।
Bengal continues to witness a clash of powerful personality cults. Prime Minister Narendra Modi of the BJP versus Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee of the TMC. The alliance of Congress and left are also in the fray. Join us as we track the pulse of Indian democracy. Watch Poll Pulse on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, South Africa's elections on Wednesday look set to be the most tightly contested since the end of apartheid, with opinion polls suggesting that the governing African National Congress may lose its majority for the first time after 30 years in power. As parties held rallies in the final weekend before the national and provincial elections, the country finds itself at a critical point amid the warmth of renewed promises.
As South Africa braces for a pivotal moment in its democratic history, political parties are intensifying their efforts in the final stretch before the national and provincial elections slated for May 29th. Amidst the campaign rallies, President Cyril Ramaphosa promised supporters on Saturday, vowing to address critical issues such as job creation and state welfare, and labelled it as one of the most consequential elections in the nation's history.
Over the next 5 years, working with all South Africans, we will implement a jobs plan to put more South Africans to work. We will build our industries and invest in an inclusive economy.
Meanwhile, the Democratic Alliance, a prominent opposition party, hosted its final rally on Sunday in Johannesburg. The metropolitan region emerges as a focal point of contention, anticipated to witness fierce competition during the election fray.
Those regions under the DA's control are creating thousands and thousands of jobs, more jobs than anywhere else in the country. If you want a job, you must vote for the Democratic Alliance.
Not to be overlooked is the economic freedom fighters, a formidable force in South African politics. Thousands of fervent supporters converged at the party's final rally on Saturday, energized by the fiery rhetoric of leader Julius Malema. Economic Freedom Fighters, or the EFF, seeks to harness the momentum of popular dissent and channel it into electoral success.
People, the ground forces of the EFF, now is the time for economic freedom in our lifetime. Now we have the responsibility to vote for the government of the people, for the people, to vote for the people's education.
As South Africa stands at the crossroads of its democratic journey, the forthcoming elections is a watershed moment in its political trajectory. With the ANC's hegemony under threat and opposition parties poised to capitalize on shifting voter sentiments, the outcome remains uncertain.
Joins us from Dar es Salaam in Tanzania to talk about it. Good evening to you, Isaac. How is that the ANC, which was once led by Nelson Mandela and is credited with the ending of apartheid, is facing the most serious challenge to its political supremacy in South Africa in these elections?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. Many South Africans are asking themselves this question, especially the younger generation. Well, some of the analysts in South Africa are positing this theory that for many decades the ANC had been known as the party that was going to give black South Africans particularly freedom, and it defined itself thus. And therefore, after getting its freedom in 1994, there ensued a decade of promise. But after that, the next 2 decades haven't shown much of that promise. And most of these analysts are saying that the ANC has failed to invent itself to be able to kind of cater to the needs of the South African people in this day and age, remaining with the ideal that they were the ones that brought in freedom for South Africans. And this has begun, of course, to show over the last 2 decades. Many people complaining about jobs, with unemployment resting at around 32%, one of the highest in the world.
Right. Now, could Wednesday's election throw South Africa into a phase of political uncertainty and instability, or will people make a choice which may not be ideal just to stave off an undesirable situation?
Well, the answer to that question is that it could go either way. It's a 50% chance, because looking at one of the most recent surveys just released this week, the Afrobarometer survey, it indicated that about a third of South Africans are undecided about who they will vote for or which party they will vote for. And so this presents itself as one of the most unpredictable elections in South African history. And another survey was suggesting that many South Africans would be willing to accept a government that was unelected as long as it provided jobs, education, and many of the other basic needs that are being complained about by South Africans. And this obviously gives us a view that this election might go either way, which is pretty risky for Africa's leading economy.
Right. And which are the other political forces that are posing a serious challenge to the ANC, so much so that the ANC might, could it be completely pushed out of power as well, and these forces could by themselves or together sort of align and then just keep the ANC out?
Well, as indicated in the report, we've got the Democratic Alliance. They're showing that they are a force to consider, a force to reckon with, because of the track record that they've had. They've been able to deliver services in key areas that they hold. But then you also have the EFF, which is sort of like a splinter of the ANC, considering that Julius Malema, its leader, was once a member of the ANC. But now he also holds a lot of sway, especially among the young people who want to see an economic change coming their way. But then you also have Mkhonto Sizwe, or the MK party, which is led by the former President Jacob Zuma, which is now a new player in South African politics. All of these parties threaten to derail the majority that the ANC has held over many years. And so therefore what many analysts are predicting right now is that the ANC might have to form a coalition with one or several of these parties that I've just mentioned. And so the future, or what South African government is likely to look like, could be either ANC itself, if it manages to survive, or a combination of one of these parties that I've mentioned going forward.
All right, let's see what happens. Wednesday is, of course, polling, and then the results will tell us where South Africa stands. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment. Zach Lucando. Now, Burkina Faso's ruling junta extended its rule for another 5 years after a national dialogue was held on Saturday. The national dialogue saw participation from civil society representatives, security and defense forces, and transitional assembly lawmakers. The new charter sets the transition back to democracy by 60 months from the 2nd of July this year. The charter allows military leader Ibrahim Traoré to run for president at the end of the transition period. Let's get you more on this as well. Tessem Makende joins us from Jos in Nigeria. Good evening to you, Tessem. Explain to us and everyone first, how could a national dialogue convened to find a path back to democracy pave the way for another 5 years of military rule?
Well, indeed, arrival to such a conclusion or an extension did not come with support, of political parties, for instance. As far as they are concerned, there's not so much sincerity on the part of the Captain Traoré-led, military junta in the country. Now, for the fact that there's an extension and the eligibility of the military ruler at the moment to also participate in the elections afterwards, makes them, makes the whole process, as far as they're concerned, like a joke, because they feel that the military will also have its way and just have the president continue, in the administration. So many political parties boycotted the meetings. Of course, the administration or the military junta has been really criticized by civil society and other groups as well. So the arrival was not completely with the consultation and support or input by many political parties, and other groups in the country.
Right. Now, what sort of implications does this have for the country itself and the wider region, for that matter, the entire African continent?
Well, indeed, I mean, Burkina Faso, like other countries in West Africa, talking about Mali, Chad, Niger Republic, and of course even Nigeria, these countries have been battling insurgency. Burkina Faso, for instance, has been battling insurgency since 2015. An estimated 10,000 people have been killed and about 2 million people displaced. Now, the implication for this is, I mean, of course, Captain Traoré toppled the government in 2022, promising to make things better. And so, there are so many questions because at the moment, Burkina Faso has been suspended from the regional bloc, talking about the Economic Community of West African States and the African Union. And so, I mean, they don't have the support of ECOWAS and troops from the region. So it leaves so many questions. But yes, they say that they are forming an alliance with Russia, and they've also formed a joint task force with Niger Republic and Mali, and to help address the situations in the country. But how much that can go is a question many people are still asking. Many believe not much will be done without the support of other regional blocs, really.
All right, we'll have to wait and see which way things head, because already a lot of the country is not really held by the military rulers who have extended their rule effectively for another 60 months, and there will possibly be a fallout on that situation as well. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment, Tese. Now, Lithuania holds its presidential election on Sunday, with incumbent Gitanas Nausėda expected to win after a campaign dominated by security concerns in the post-Soviet state. 60-year-old Nausėda, a former economist who is not affiliated with any party, won the first round of the election on the 12th of May with 44% of the votes, short of the 50% he needed for an outright win. He is running against 49-year-old Prime Minister Ingrida Šimonytė from the ruling centre-right Homeland Union Party that has been trailing in opinion polls. She was the only woman out of 8 candidates in the first round and came second with 20%. This will be the second time that the two have competed in a presidential runoff. In 2009, Nausėda beat Šimonytė with 66% of the vote. And still to come on DD India News Hour. The Israeli army releases video of humanitarian aid for Gaza at floating pier. And in a first, Indian Hajj pilgrims travel from Jeddah to Mecca by high-speed train.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts, we demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, DC.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Gautam Roy, and before we go any further, another look at our top stories. Cyclone Remal makes landfall on Bangladesh coastline. India and Bangladesh brace for the storm. The severe storm is expected to bring extremely heavy rainfall and strong winds. Disaster relief teams have been deployed to meet any eventuality. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi chairs a meeting to review response and preparedness. Cyclone Remal is expected to make landfall and has in fact made landfall at around this time. China and South Korea agreed to launch a diplomatic and security dialogue and resume free trade talks. Leaders of Japan, South Korea and China to hold trilateral summit on Monday in Seoul. Now, South Korea and China have agreed to start a diplomatic and security dialogue and restart talks related to a free trade pact. This is the outcome of a bilateral meet between South Korea's President Yoon Suk Yeol and Chinese Premier Li Qiang in Seoul, ahead of a rare China-Japan-South Korea trilateral on Monday, which hasn't been held during the last 4 years or more. Other bilateral meetings have also taken place between the three sides on Sunday. Take a look at this report.
The 9th Trilateral Summit of China, Japan and South Korea is set to be held on Monday after a gap of 4 years. But Sunday saw a flourish of diplomatic exchanges between the three sides at the bilateral level. South Korea's President Yoon Suk Yeol and Chinese Premier Li Qiang agreed to launch a diplomatic and security dialogue and resume talks on a free trade agreement.
South Korea and China decided to launch a diplomatic and security dialogue and hold first meeting in mid-June. This is 2+2 dialogue consultative body between Foreign Ministry and Defense Ministry. Vice Minister from Foreign Ministry and Director level high-ranking official from Defense Ministry will attend.
The Chinese leader in Seoul also pledged with his Japanese counterpart Fumio Kishida to deepen cooperation at a separate bilateral meet. Kishida added that he also stressed the importance of peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait with the Chinese premier during their meet.
Through the regional trilateral meeting between Japan, China and South Korea, the regional cooperation between Japan and China is a step forward to realize a strategic relationship of mutual interest. The fact that I have the opportunity to hold deep discussions with Premier Li for a constructive, stable Japan-China relationship is very meaningful, and I am very pleased.
The current international political and economic situation is indeed complicated and has brought some disturbances and impact on the relation between China and Japan. However, our two countries have a long history of exchange of more than 2000 years, which fully demonstrate that peaceful coexistence, friendship and cooperation is the main theme of China-Japan relationship, which is in line with the fundamental interest of the two peoples.
Japan and South Korea relations have also been complicated. Disagreements over resolving past matters stemming from Japan's 1910-1945 occupation of Korea brought out protesters to Seoul's streets also on Sunday. But the leadership of the two countries has been working on improving relations in recent years. They agreed to foster deeper ties in their bilateral meeting. The three nations had agreed to hold a trilateral summit each year from 2008, but the COVID-19 pandemic and turbulent ties kept the meet in abeyance for 4 years. Though not much is expected in terms of a concrete outcome from the trilateral on Monday, it provides an opportunity to manage tensions, whether these are with each other or whether they emerge from regional hotspots like Taiwan and North Korea. Bureau Report, DD India.
And Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te extended goodwill towards and offered cooperation with China on Sunday following 2 days of Chinese war games near the island as a group of US lawmakers arrived in Taipei. China carried out the military drills on Thursday and Friday, calling them punishment for Lai's inauguration speech on Monday, which Beijing called another push for the island's former independence. Lai rejected Beijing's sovereignty claims and said only Taiwan's people can decide their future. Lai also thanked the United States and other countries for their expressions of concern about the Chinese exercises. Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa is in Brussels attending International Partners' meeting on Palestine after 3 European countries recognized the Palestinian statehood. Meanwhile, US Central Command said that more than 1,000 metric tons of humanitarian aid has been delivered to Gaza. Here's a detailed report.
208 trucks, including 4 fuel trucks, entered Gaza on Sunday through the Israel's Karim Shalom border crossing at the southern east edge of the Palestinian enclave. Israel has said it is not restricting aid flows. Israeli Defense Forces on Sunday released a video of trucks showing more humanitarian aid entering into Gaza at the US-built floating pier near the Gaza coast. The US Central Command said in a post on X that more than 1,000 metric tons of the humanitarian aid have been delivered to Gaza. US Central Command personnel continue to team up with the USAID and the UN to deliver aid to the people of Gaza via temporary pier affixed to the beach. Aid delivery by CENTCOM personnel from the sea to the beach transfer point 1,000 metric ton total as of May 24 and 184 metric tons on May 23 and 24. The development came after US President Joe Biden and Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi on Friday agreed to temporarily send aid to the United Nations in Gaza via Karim Shalem border crossing. Amid efforts to get aid into Gaza, an international partners meeting on Palestine is taking place on Sunday in Brussels. Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa was in Brussels to attend the meet.
Spain's recognition, along with 146 countries, 43 plus 3, that's 146 countries, represents a major impetus for peace and stability in our region and will constitute a solid foundation for an irreversible process towards the consolidation and realization of an independent Palestinian state.
Spain reiterated its two-state solution is the only way for peace.
Spain will recognize the Palestinian state next Tuesday, joining the 143 other countries in the world that have already done so. A decision that we took together with other European partners such as Ireland and Norway because we believe that this is the only way to ensure a future of peace, prosperity and security in the region, applying the two-state solution.
The Rafah border crossing, from where the most of the humanitarian aid and commercial supplies entered into Gaza, has been shut for almost 3 weeks since Israel took control of the crossing on May 6. Faiz Khan reporting for DD India.
The Consulate General of India in Jeddah has arranged special transportation for Indian Hajj pilgrims on the newly launched Haramain high-speed railway line from Jeddah to Mecca in coordination with Saudi officials. India's ambassador to Saudi Arabia, Dr. Suhail Ajaz Khan, and Consul General Mohammad Shahid Alam accompanied the first group of Indian pilgrims on the landmark train journey on Sunday. They were joined by Saudi Arabia's Railways Vice President Engal Harbi and representatives from the Ministries of Hajj and Transport.
Today is a historical day. Today, for the first time, Indian pilgrims will be taking the high-speed train from Jeddah Airport directly to Makkah. It is a new beginning. It is the first time that we have made these arrangements. This year, we are having 140,000 pilgrims coming through the Hajj Committee of India route, out of which about 32,000 pilgrims will be benefiting from this train service.
People in the United States will be heading to vote in less than 6 months to pick their next president. It's a likely rematch between Democratic incumbent Joe Biden and Republican former leader Donald Trump. Recent polls suggest that it's a close race, but Trump may be fractionally ahead. A second Trump administration could bring dramatic change globally in areas like climate policy, have dramatic global changes such as in climate change, immigration and US involvement in security internationally. DD India's Caroline Manon reports from Washington, D.C.
Donald Trump has laid out what his priorities would be if he wins a second term, including deporting migrants crossing the border illegally, which he often calls an invasion, and by militarizing the border. In response to a question in a Time magazine article about it, he said, "I think the National Guard would be able to do that. If they weren't able to, then I'd use the military." Trump still says that he won the last election, and many supporters say they believe him, a lie that led to large crowds amassing on Capitol Hill on January 6, 2021, some rioting. The former leader says he's considering pardons for people convicted over it. On foreign policy, Trump in his last presidency pushed NATO members to commit a minimum of 2% of their GDP to defence spending. 20 out of 32 nations have committed to, and are focused on supporting Ukraine in its war against Russia. But Trump has also threatened not to support NATO allies that don't meet the military alliance's spending target, and rather encourage Russia to do whatever the hell they want.
Trump has said several times that he would stop support for Ukraine on day one of his presidency. His take on Ukraine is one that happens to be very close to that of the Kremlin, which is that Ukraine is not a real country, is run by corrupt, hard-right nationalists who are not worth supporting. I don't think that is necessarily the subject of 100% consensus, even within the hard-right wing of the Republican Party. But the president taking this position would have a great weight.
Trump has also called climate science into question. During his last presidency, he pulled the US out of the Paris Agreement capping carbon emissions. He's being investigated by lawmakers for requesting $1 billion in campaign funds from top oil and gas executives, who he hosted for dinner while talking about reducing tax on the energy sector. The Heritage Foundation is a Washington think tank that has created a playbook for a second Trump presidency, including replacing many civil servants with loyalists of the Republican leader. Some of Trump's allies have far-right views, including House Freedom Caucus policy chair and Texas Congressman Chip Roy, who's spoken out against government funding of the Department of Justice, as it's running 2 criminal cases against Trump on attempts to overturn the election and retaining classified documents.
$40 billion for the Department of Justice, which is continuing to carry out attacks on former President Trump and engage in lawfare to undermine all of our system of rule of law and to target the former president.
2 other cases against Trump include the ongoing New York trial in which he is charged with falsifying business records to cover up hush money payments, and in Georgia, a delayed case over his attempts to overturn the last election. How Trump acts if he gets into the White House again may also depend on how the Supreme Court rules on presidential immunity. They're due to give an opinion at the end of June. Trump has implied if he gets into power again and he's found not immune from prosecution, then he may go after his rivals. Caroline Malone in Washington for DD India.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. A mango festival in Bengaluru attracts lovers of the king of fruits. India's Dipa Karmakar scripts history by winning the gold medal in the women's vault apparatus at the Asian Gymnastics Championships 2024 in Tashkent.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy, and let's now get you all the latest related to the largest democratic exercise in the world. With just less than a week left to go for the 7th and the final phase of polling for the great Indian elections, campaigning has reached its zenith with claims and counterclaims put out by both the ruling and opposition parties. The next report tells us more about the hustle and bustle of election campaigning.
Campaigning has intensified for the 7th and final phase of India's general election. BJP leader and Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Sunday held multiple rallies in Uttar Pradesh's Mirzapur, Mau and Deoria. He criticized the opposition alliance's plan to have 5 prime ministers in 5 years.
अब ये सपा कांग्रेस इंडी गठबंधन ये कह रहा है कि 5 साल में 5 प्रधानमंत्री। अब बताइए भाई, ये 5 साल में 5 प्रधानमंत्री कोई रखता है क्या? जहां प्रधानमंत्री अपनी कुर्सी बचाने में ही लगा रहेगा तो वो क्या देश को मजबूत बना सकता है क्या? इसलिए देश ने तय किया कि मजबूत देश के लिए प्रधानमंत्री भी मजबूत होना चाहिए.
While BJP President JP Nadda addressed a rally in Jahanabad in Bihar and slammed RJD and Indi alliance.
बिहार ने जंगल राज देखा. आप भूल गए होंगे जहानाबाद में 3 बजे के बाद 2005 से पहले न कोई आता था न कोई जाता था.
And India's Home Minister Amit Shah, while addressing a rally in Karakat in Bihar, slammed Congress President Rahul Gandhi.
अरे राहुल बाबा, मैं जगजीवन राम की भूमि से कहकर जाता हूं, पाक ऑक्यूपाई कश्मीर भारत का है, रहेगा और हम उसको लेकर रहेंगे.
The opposition parties are also putting all their might to woo voters with less than a week to go for the final phase of polling. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi, while addressing a poll rally in Nahan in Himachal Pradesh, did not even spare the media.
अच्छा, एक नई बात चली है, पता नहीं आपने सुना नहीं सुना. उन्हीं चमचों के साथ इंटरव्यू में एक चमची पूछती है, नरेंद्र मोदी जी, आप में इतनी ऊर्जा कहां से आती है, इतनी एनर्जी कहां से आती है? नरेंद्र मोदी जी का जवाब आता है, मैं बायोलॉजिकल नहीं हूं. बायोलॉजिकल नहीं हूं. पता नहीं चीजें कैसे होती हैं, परमात्मा ने मुझे भेजा है.
While in Patiala in Punjab, Congress General Secretary Priyanka Gandhi expressed optimism of a good performance in Punjab.
बहुत अच्छा माहौल लग रहा है मुझे, और मुझे लगता है कि हम अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस दिखाएंगे. यहाँ पे हर जगह पूरे देश भर में जनता अब ऊब चुकी है भाजपा की राजनीति से, और कांग्रेस पार्टी को समझ रही है कि कांग्रेस पार्टी सच्चे दिल से हमारे नेता काम करना चाहते हैं, खासतौर से यहाँ पे.
In the eastern Indian state of Bihar, RJD leader Tejashwi Yadav claimed that on 4th June, Indi alliance will form the government.
तो बोल रहे हैं on 4th June India is coming. India government, हमारा गठबंधन is coming on 4th June.
Notwithstanding the claims and counterclaims put up by the ruling and opposition parties, the winner will be known only on 4th June, when counting for the great Indian elections of 2024 will be held. Bureau Report, DD India.
The death toll in the case of an incident of a fire in Rajkot in western Indian state of Gujarat has risen to 27. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has announced an ex-gratia of $2,400, whereas Gujarat government has announced a $5,000 compensation each for the families of the deceased and $600 each for the injured. A special investigation team has since been set up to find out about the cause of the fire. Gujarat High Court has taken suo motu cognizance of the fire as well, and a suo motu petition will be heard on Monday too. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar attended the India Rise in Global Diplomacy program in Varanasi on Sunday. The External Affairs Minister said that India keeps receiving the invitation of many joint ventures and world's interest in India keeps on growing.
अगर आज दुनिया के भारत में रुचि देखें, कितने जॉइंट वेंचर्स के प्रस्ताव आते हैं, कितने ग्लोबल कंपनी चाहते हैं कि यहाँ कुछ न कुछ यहाँ ऑपरेशन हम शुरू करें. हमारा व्यापार, हमारे एक्सपोर्ट्स जो हैं दुनिया में, कि इसमें बहुत प्रगति हुई.
A mango festival at Lal Bagh in Bengaluru is attracting people from distant places. It's a one-stop destination for a wide variety of mangoes from across the state. The festival also offers benefits for exporters. Despite a low yield because of a heat wave, the market is flooded with tons of fruit. One of the major attractions is the Kari Ishad variety of mango, which has earned a geographical indication tag. The festival is on till the 10th of June. Asha Khanam reports.
Banganpalli, Malika, Kesar, Badami, Raspuri, Dasheri, Totapuri, Raslu Kalapar and Sugar Baby. They're all here at the Mango Mela in Lal Bagh, vying for attention and in competition among themselves. Mango enthusiasts from all parts of the city are seen indulging in purchases of organically grown mangoes from different parts of the state. Karnataka, being a major mango producing state, has not lived up to its expectations in terms of quantity this time around. And although the quality which gives the farmers their pride has remained satisfactory.
Every year we make this event very successful with the involvement of FEOs and also farmers. The consumers here wait for the melas happening here. They get lot of assorted varieties here, around 15 varieties, 17, 18 varieties are also available.
Mango is grown in over 1.49 lakh hectares, and every year over 12 to 15 lakh metric tons of mango sale is registered from Karnataka alone. Besides, the mangoes from here are exported to Europe. Badami and Malika are most preferred varieties overseas.
Directly farmers are selling here, that is the advantage, so both consumer and supplier will be benefited. We have early varieties, mid-season varieties and late season varieties. Such a wide range you don't get in other states, especially in Karnataka we will get so much of range, about 18 varieties you can taste here.
With 70 stalls situated in the lanes of the Botanical Garden, the Mela will be on for about 15 days. The rates are reasonably fixed by the Mango Marketing Board. That is one reason why people throng to buy mangoes in dozens and kilos. Mango lovers from across India visit this Mela.
Seems to be very exciting to see all the mangoes at one place. You get to see so many varieties here. So it's good to see the varieties and buy upon tasting. So we get that leisure to taste as well before buying. So we are exploring now.
There is a lot of variety available and the sellers are very educating towards the mangoes. They let you know how it's grown, how are the taste, how they differ. So it's good.
Farmers get chance to sell their produce directly without middlemen. The Mela is a yearly event in Bangalore and is being held for decades. The farmers feel this is a good ground for some profits and hope that with more storage facilities, they will be able to bring in more mangoes and extend the sales. Aisha Khanum for DD India.
Mangoes always make the summer heat bearable as well right here in India. Now, let's get you all the sporting updates as well. Now, Indian gymnast Dipa Karmakar on Sunday bagged the historic gold medal at the Asian Women's Artistic Gymnastics Championship in Tashkent to become the first Indian to achieve this feat. In the final of the individual vault, Karmakar finished at the top among 8 gymnasts with an average score of 13.566. In both her attempts, the 30-year-old received identical scores of 13.566. North Koreans Kim Song-yang 13.466 and Jo Kyung-beol 12.966 bagged the silver and bronze medals respectively. Earlier, Karmakar won the bronze medal in the same event in Hiroshima in 2015. She became a household name in the country after finishing 4th in the vault final at the Rio Olympics in 2016. Karmakar also bagged a bronze medal in the Glasgow Commonwealth Games in 2014. She returned to action last year after serving 21 months ban following a positive test for a banned substance. Now on to updates from the Indian Premier League. Kolkata Knight Riders are taking on Sunrisers Hyderabad in the IPL final tonight at the M.A. Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai. Kolkata are dominating Hyderabad at the moment after restricting Hyderabad to a below par total of 113 runs. According to the latest score, what we have is that Kolkata Knight Riders need about 58 runs to win. And before this, batting first, Hyderabad didn't have its best of starts as Kolkata bowlers ran through the top order. Kolkata's most expensive player, Mitchell Starc, produced ball of the tournament, dismissing Abhishek Sharma on a score of 2. And that's all in this edition of DD India News Hour, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download the app now. And like always, we'll be back with more news and updates as a break here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.
Hype versus